You guys, I am wrapping up one of the most heart-pounding paddles I have ever done in my entire life. I need to tell you about this. Let's go back to the beginning. This adventure started early Saturday morning at Myakka River State Park. I arrived 50 minutes before the park opened at 8 a.m. to score one of 30 daily permits to the Wilderness Preserve, which is south of 72. Most people get the permit to hike to Deep Hole. Deep Hole is a 140-foot sinkhole at the south end of Lower Myakka Lake. Alligators are known to hang out there in large numbers during the cooler months of the year. I've done that hike 3 times and have been wanting to paddle there ever since. I called the ranger station periodically for weeks to ask about river conditions, and this weekend I was told the river was passable but low in some parts, and at times I may need a portage, so I decided to give it a shot. I hit the water just after 8:15 from the bridge inside the park. It's easy to slide right in there. The water was like glass as I worked my way downriver. I love seeing the steam rise. It just added to the allure. As I paddled, some alligators on the bank slid into the water, others were unbothered. Extra caution, of course, must be practiced this time of the year as it is alligator mating season. The sign for the Wilderness Preserve is tacked onto the 72 bridge. As I passed under it, I could see an alligator in the water swimming parallel to my kayak. The scenery was absolutely stunning on this part of the river, truly wild Florida. Okay, so I am now in the Wilderness Preserve portion of Myakka River State Park. Only 30 people are permitted to come back here every single day, so it really is a special experience, and as far as I know, I'm the only kayaker. I saw from the map that the river would become narrow and wind as I headed south. Typically, I try to stay in the middle of any river when I know alligators are present, but during this paddle, I didn't have a choice. I had to scoot right along the bank at times to avoid down branches and vegetation. And as I rounded one bend, I saw the leg of an alligator that I knew right then was absolutely enormous. Let's call him the King of the Myakka. I could not believe my eyes. The king hung out at the bend for about 10 to 15 minutes. I stayed back and waited. Eventually, he went underwater. At that point, I made the decision to continue paddling because I couldn't tell which way he went. It's amazing how a gator of that size can simply disappear in relatively shallow water in a narrow part of the river. The current increased and the landscape opened up as I neared Lower Myakka Lake. Just before the river emptied into the lake, I came across another gator river block. Yet again, I paddled in place and waited. Eventually, it slipped below the water. I made it to Lower Myakka Lake. That was a wild journey. Seriously, not for the faint of heart. There's not a lot of room on the Myakka River once you get down toward this area, and there's not too much space to share, so you really do have to keep your eyes open and remain focused. Just kind of brace yourself with every turn. I can't believe I have to go back up that way. Oh my gosh. All right, now I'm gonna go a little bit closer to Deep Hole, which is where alligators congregate in the wintertime, because obviously haven't seen enough of them yet, right? The lake was very shallow. As I paddled, I saw some deer on the shore, plenty of birds, and some gators headed to Deep Hole too. It took about 15 to 20 minutes to paddle there. It was easy to spot because I saw some hikers. Sometimes the alligators are piled up on the banks, but that wasn't exactly the case this day. I did have to get out of my kayak here because the wind and the current pushed me into a really shallow area. The paddle back to the mouth of the river was difficult because the wind had certainly picked up. I'm trying to get back upstream, but this gator over here blocked me on the way down and blocking me on the way back up. Not sure how long I'm gonna have to wait, but I'm definitely not gonna play a game of chicken. Eventually, it disappeared underwater and I just had to keep going. I didn't have a choice. The paddle upstream was more difficult because of the current and shallow water. I had to be even more vigilant because I didn't have the same control on the way downriver. I passed by these guards of the river along the way. I didn't bother them, and they did not bother me. Then, guess what? I came across the king again in the very same spot. And of course, it is blocking right where I need to go. So I'm just gonna have to wait it out, but I feel like my kayak seems small, and my kayak is 12 feet. Freedom! The alligator finally moved. Thank goodness. Onward. Finally, the river started to widen once again. I didn't mind seeing alligators on the bank because there was plenty of space for them and for me to move around. As I passed under the 72 bridge, I spotted some people out on the water for the very first time in 5 hours. I see the launch site right now. I'm not gonna lie, it's very good to once again be around people again. That was an adventure. If you want ideas for more, maybe some not as extreme, subscribe to this channel and comment below. Let me know if you're adding this to your list or if this is a hard pass.